What's up, BikeRumor fans? I'm Tyler, and this is my review of Fezzari Delano Peak. The Delano Peak is their kind of do-it-all trail bike. Sits in the middle of the travel range with 135 millimeters of travel in the rear, paired with a 150 fork up front. This is the elite build, comes with XT 1x12 full group, including the brakes, and some other nice touches like Ergon saddle, Ergon grips, Fox DPX2 rear shock, Fox 36 performance line fork up front, stands, wheels, Maxxis tires, and that's kind of the quick tech specs. Let's take a look at all the little frame details and nifty touches, and then we'll get out on the trail and see how it rides. There are a few things about the Delano Peak that stand out visually. For a mid-travel bike, it has a somewhat thick, squatted look that's accentuated by the nearly vertical seat angle and tall seat stays. All of the tubes seem a bit oversized, which gives this bike an incredibly solid feel on the trail. Fezzari's cable management keeps things secure and rattle-free, but open big enough for easy maintenance. The rear brake hose runs externally in the back, but the rear shift cable ducks back into the chainstay. Medium and larger frames get two water bottle mounting points inside the front triangle. A bolt-on frame protector covers the lower portion of the down tube and runs all the way under the bottom bracket. Fezzari's Tetralink suspension is their take on a Horselink 4-bar suspension. It's a linkage-driven shock with a flip chip lower mount that lets you adjust bottom bracket height and geometry. I ran it in low the whole time and it worked great. It all moves on sealed stainless steel bearings, and the lower main pivot is set wide to resist flex. Combine that with thick and very tall stays, and you have a bike that tracks straight and true. I never noticed any flex during my test. You might notice those black scrape marks on both sides of the bike. That was the heel of my 510 mountain bike shoes rubbing them. Honestly, I never really noticed it happening, but here's the proof. Which is a bit odd because it's a standard 148 boost, not super boost axle spacing. They're just really stout stays. A couple modern touches that are hidden are the use of SRAM's new universal derailleur hanger and mounting points for the Fox live valve rear shock sensors. There's also a port for those wires or a remote lockout to reach the rear shock. The cockpit uses Ergon grips on a race face Turbine R handlebar and Fezzari alloy stem. A Cane Creek headset handles steering, and a P&W lever works the X-Fusion dropper post. Dropper travel is customized as part of their purchase process, maximizing the available travel up to 200 millimeters. Okay, time to ride. The first test, as usual, is on our local trails, which are very much cross-country oriented. So if a bigger travel bike pedals well here, where we're pretty much constantly pedaling, then we're off to a good start. We have a lot of tight and twisty sections, which test the bike ability to maneuver at speed, and lots of routes to test its efficiency when pedaling over things. The Delano Peak's grabby 29x2.5 tires hooked into the dirt and didn't let go, and the suspension worked really well to keep them planted. We have just enough little jumps, drops, and rocks mixed in to get comfortable on the bike before we head to bigger things, and we will. We also have a few short, punchy climbs where I can stand and pedal over roots without the bike skipping around or feeling like it's robbing my power. From Greensboro, I made a quick stop at the new Monument Trails in Mount Nebo, Arkansas. Here, I had a mix of long, seated climbs to get to the good stuff, and you can see here that the pedaling has virtually no input on the shock. Mount Nebo is a fully built and groomed trail network with big rock sections and bigger jump lines. There are monstrous armored rock gardens that you both descend and climb, technical sections that tested my ability to carve ultra-tight corners, and chunky drops and tabletop jumps. Even after 5+ hours of riding it all, the Delano Peak's big 150mm fork and surprisingly capable 135mm rear end left me fresh enough to want more. Next stop was Pisgah National Forest near Asheville, where the trails are more natural and a constant up and down flow of power sections, rocks, roots, drops, and high-speed descents. In other words, this is real mountain biking, which is exactly the kind of big trail riding that Delano Peak was designed for, and where it excelled. The bike handled pretty much anything I threw at it, even on 3 very different, very big trail networks. So on some of the finest riding that the southeast and central regions have to offer, the Delano Peak did great on all of it. which is exactly what you want from a trail mountain bike. So that's the overview. Basically, everywhere I've taken this bike, it's been able to handle it all, whether it's the tight, twisty stuff with a lot of pedaling, even on the climbs, you know, it just pedals really well. And I think a lot of that has to do with Fezzari's geometry. They use a really steep, like 77.5-degree seat angle, paired on this bike with a 65-degree head angle. So what that does is it kind of puts it like this. So when you're sitting on it, you're in this very nice upright position. But as you can see, like it's got a ton of drop to this post. So it's really easy to get back behind it on the descents. And that just works really well overall for a lot of different conditions on steep stuff. You know, Mount Nebo is a perfect example of that, where it's about as close to a bike park as you can get without actually going to a bike park. And I had no problem dropping the biggest stuff in the gnarliest little rock sections on this bike. So if you're looking for a bike that kind of does it all, maybe just a tiny bit on the heavy side, but overall just super capable and fun to ride no matter where you are, give the Delano Peak a look. Thanks a ton for watching. If you like this, you want more tech videos and reviews, hit like, hit subscribe, and we'll see you next time.